Okay, Kim found my one little African dance picture from years ago. I can't believe it. And Tom, you're welcome into my class anytime. Everybody is welcome. I just want to say how happy I am to be here, to speak with everyone, and to be around athletes, powerful athletes, winners, Olympians, national champions. And I have so much respect for icons and for us to gather. And I am not an athlete. I wanted to share the big picture analysis that has been brewing in my mind for a very long time, because I have been so shocked and saddened, obviously, everyone in the room, at how a basic explanation of biology, a basic explanation of what a woman is and what a man is, and how all of a sudden it's up for debate. I said, well, I heard a Harvard professor explain it. That should do it. It's Monday. Let's wrap up this foolishness by Tuesday. She explained it. Evolutionary biologist, been following Colin's work, and he explained it. All right, well, this should be taken care of. Well, obviously not. And so I like to pull back and take a look at big picture, look at perspective. I have a background in higher education and executive management, so my work is not just clinical. I've also chaired business departments, organizational leadership departments, and clinical psychology, where students go for licensure and all of that. So I have a mixed perspective. Uh-oh. How do I do this? Did I have it right? No. Oh, so I go that way. Okay. All right. So I feel as if we are in a period of colonization and commodification as women in what is the fourth industrial revolution. We've had three, and this is our fourth. And I'll explain as we get a little bit further in, but women are always impacted by economic shifts and warfare. The fourth industrial revolution represents a paradigm shift. We've all heard about AI, robotics, blockchain, technology, and all of these predictions, vast and wide, of job losses, always first to impact women. Poor women first and moving up the chain. And this new economy that we're in is characterized by a convergence of the physical, the digital, the tech world, and biological systems. And it's blurring the lines between human and machine, the post-human era. And of course, it's grounded in capitalism. In this rapidly evolving economy, we women are experiencing a powerful invasion of our rights, boundaries, inside of Western culture. That's where we are in America. We are part of Western culture. One of the things that's happening very quickly and all at the same time, it's a little bit depressing, is that we are, in a way, moved into a position of currency, where everything out of nowhere and just like that is up for sale and up for business practices, and moving women into insurance policies. Now in California, there's a push to put surrogacy into health insurance, and where people can buy eggs, buy a woman's womb, buy a woman's time. We are moving legislation through for legalizing prostitution, and of course that increases sex trafficking. So it's pretty significant. This is happening now, and there is law being moved through and bills being moved through. We have gender reassignment industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it was mentioned that it's mostly girls, but we know that boys also, but mostly girls who feel that they are boys. And then we have biopharma and life sciences that tell us when we have a little baby that our body parts are medical waste, and then it gets used later in the multi-billion-dollar biopharma life sciences industries. Then finally, we have the poverty industrial complex, and I won't go into that, but poor women and children are big business. All of this happening at the same time. I wanted to share, and it's really sports that really brought my mind around to this, but we are experiencing colonization. Everything that we've been talking about so far is to say, this is our space, what's going on? There are 4 aspects of colonization that women are experiencing right now, and it is what an invading army would do. An invading army is gonna come in and say, you're gonna do what I tell you to do, because I'm coming into your space and into your world. Erase your cultural identity. Woman is a hate speech, and you will not use that term anymore. And you're gonna use cisgender, vulva haver, breeder, bleeder, non-men, and all of these horrible terms. So I've stripped your language away from you, stripped your identity away from you. Now I'm gonna appropriate your land, and that's a loss of women's spaces. So your land on the track field, your land in the locker room, your land in the swimming pool, your land in shelters, all of that. So movement restricted, even for little kids, excuse me. Obviously, sports, prisons, bathrooms, spas, DV shelter, sex assault shelter, psychiatric facilities. The rate of women being sexually assaulted in psychiatric facilities is through the roof. And it's so easy to get away with, because you just say, oh, I didn't do that. I think maybe she was delusional. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. A third thing in terms of colonizing what an invading army would do is the dismantling of accustomed boundaries and laws. We are in a state of shock every day when we realize all of the things that are happening. The reduction of age of consent, I think it's down to 14. The K through 12 to gender industry pipeline, just right in front of our faces, kids just being radicalized into being confused about whether they were born in the wrong body or not. We have this massive, ridiculous movement to release child murderers, pedophiles, and criminals in general, even serial killers, calling it justice. We have on the street the law put in place to give drug addicts drugs to use right on the street. We see all the video clips of that, especially in San Francisco, right? Parents losing their rights in many different ways with laws on the books, bills being pushed through to block parents from their children in a variety of different ways. And we've had a long-standing K through 12, a long-standing foster care to sex trafficking, to prison, to probation pipeline. That's been in place for a long time for all impacting girls and women. And finally, like an invading army would come in and say, those laws don't count anymore. We have this Trojan horse, and not so much Trojan horse anymore, into Title IX, VAWA, federal and state contracts, talk of how the ERA is supposed to go. Oh. Okay. Why am I talking about this? Because in history, womanhood is impacted by warfare and shifting economies. The woman is always the last to know and the least prepared. So let's say an army is to come in and they enter the room. Women probably would figure out that day that an army is in and don't have any time to run to borders, run for safety or anything like that. So I'll talk about a few situations. And I'll talk about warfare in Afghanistan. We, the United States, went into Afghanistan for about 20 years, and we told the Afghan man that we were going to step over him and go to his women and tell them that they can go to school and they can do this and they can do that. We said that that's what those women can do. And then when the United States left Afghanistan, the Afghan man came back and said, you women, we're going to go back to the way things were because we're now back in charge. The symbol of victory and defeat is always on the woman. It's on the woman's body. In terms of economics, the Eastern European woman has been greatly impacted by the fall of the Berlin Wall. How many people are old enough to remember that, right? Remember, it was a big deal. We are going to spread democracy. And we're going to break this wall down, and it's going to be so good. But what nobody talks about is a powerful trafficking of Eastern European women to fill Western European brothels and to sell Eastern European women all over the world. Nobody talks about it, but it was a distinct concept. Well, women do talk about it, but they get dismissed. Oh, you're ridiculous. But something that was supposed to be so great to launch democracy turned into a system that is still in place and unabated today. In terms of Bosnia, warfare and ethnic cleansing, a lot of women did not know what was happening in Bosnia. Women in Bosnia did not know what was happening. So here, all these men are fighting with each other, fussing with each other, and women are just, they hear about it on TV, but literally walking home from work only to have soldiers pull up next to them and say, get in, or just grab them and bring them in and take them to military barracks that had mattresses already lined up, ready to go, and mass rape was conducted under orders from the top. And they had absolutely no idea that it was coming. So another historical example of warfare. Now I'll talk about another example of shifting economies. We had, actually, it's much more than 700 years. It's actually quite a bit longer than that. But European witch hunts and witch hunts during the Roman Empire, where women were blamed for everything. They were blamed for farms, for crops not developing properly. They were blamed for famine. They were blamed for, like how we have COVID now, they would be blamed for things like that. And would be blamed for doing witchcraft or blamed for having power to make things happen like that, and would be burned at the stake. And early on would be burned in groups, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 women burned. And it just went unabated. And no one said, oh my gosh, we feel for these women, let's stop. No, there were other political forces that came in that brought about the end of this several hundred years, even several thousand years movement. And then finally in the United States, we had American women who for 339 years lived inside of a chattel slavery system. The consequence of relationships in Africa between Africa, Berbers, Europeans, everybody playing games in Africa, the consequences for women were that they were brought here as a spoil of war and used for reproduction, sex slavery, the whole 9 yards. And I want to talk about language, referring back to the panel that was just up here. Women were called chattel, real estate, mortgage, bond, sex slave, everything but a woman. And so you see the times that endured, 339 years, 275 years, a couple of hundred years in South America and things like that. I wanted to just share how I woke up. Several things happened in my community, but I'll share this one. It was when I heard Congresswoman Cori Bush use the term black birthing body. I thought, you know, I don't know how, let me just take a deep breath on that one. Did she say black birthing body? Did she say that? Okay. And then AOC used the terms bleeder and menstruator. We all have heard all of this. And surrogacy advocates having the nerve to bring back the term breeder after the history of breeding in this country. Like, why would you do that? Regardless of who you're talking about. See, I'm not talking about race. I'm just saying to bring that term back and call a woman a breeder and a bleeder and a menstruator and a birthing body. I just thought, my God, this is something totally new here. I knew that we were in a new day, that we were in trouble when these Democrats, talk about Freudian slip, oh my goodness. When these terms came, when people started using these terms, but I'll be honest, I really thought, are those Democrat women that are saying, that are talking like this? Using dehumanizing language like this. So witch, chattel, breeder, bleeder, birthing body, sex slave, mortgage, bondwoman. When you hear yourself being renamed, it means you are being rehomed. And it's not a joke, and it's very real. It's not a little cute thing that's gonna go away. It's very serious. I had a little thing here. Okay. All right. So today in this new economy, everybody is, I call it opportunistic colonization, because everybody's thinking, how am I going to make money? How am I going to make this work for me? And unfortunately, we are downwind of that. So we are in the beginning stage of a correction in which Western culture is being drastically altered. And when women are raped, sexually exploited, forced into situations where you cannot protect or cover your body, then what that means is we have to understand that that is a tool of war that we are in the middle of. We are being used as a tool of war, and we are the victims in a tool of war. We don't have tanks and drones being deployed. We don't have military vehicles driving through, but it's ideological tanks going through people's minds to think that something like this is okay. So it's really a form of ideological warfare. We literally have women living in rape camps that are inside of prisons. They're being sexually assaulted, raped, and forced into acts of sadism. It's it's just absolutely horrifying. And it's legal and on the books right under our noses right now in America, in our Western culture. And what I want to say to men, let me take a drink of water. Men need to understand that rape of the female is used to humiliate male leadership. The victorious army raises the flag on the woman of the conquered army to send a message. During war and economic shifts, women become the spoil of war, the reward, the property, the change to currency. It means you've lost. Okay, just really briefly, the psychological impact of rape and sexual exploitation. One of the things that I want to share that I notice that the pain that when women in sports can't hold it back and or women talking about sports and they cry, is identical to how the incarcerated women sound. It's an identical pain, and it's not superficial, it's really deep within. Where's the Harvard professor? She was apologizing for tearing up. And it's identical to how the women that are in Chowchilla up in California sound. It's very deep. And part of the pain is you're forced to go in the locker room. You're forced to be in a cell with a man. You're forced to be in a locker room with someone like Leah Thomas. And everybody's walking around like it's no big deal. Coaches are walking around, everybody's walking around as if it's perfectly normal, okay? What is happening to our star athletes? I use Riley's picture, it's Riley here. The flag of victory has been raised on her body to let women's sports, girls and women, our society at large, our Western culture, know that our community is being dismantled. So while we always remain in a state of shock, we need to, and easier said than done, stop being in a state of shock, readjust, and see that we have a whole nother thing happening over here that is really akin to warfare. I wanted to share with you incredible icon audience, incredible women, that the symbol of a healthy culture are strong women, strong, healthy women. The young, strong woman is a symbol of strength, vitality, and fertility, and it lets the community, tribe, ethnic group, nation know that they are a healthy, vibrant, and successful people where great genes will be passed on. It lets the tribe know you're good. If we allow women champions to be torn down in their status by an invader, and that can be discussed wherever the opportunistic invader is, and your accomplishments mocked, then this is exactly a repeat of history where the woman is sold as a spoil during either economic shifts or warfare or a combination of. Today, the leadership in Western women's sports is handing our women champions over to the victors as spoils of war. And this is unacceptable, and so that's why you're here, because we're fighting that. Absolutely. Oh, I didn't tell you who this was. So this is a princess, Briseis. She's a Trojan priestess and a Trojan princess and priestess. And Troy lost, or was losing, and Achilles, a Greek warrior, obviously a warrior, defeating Troy. And she was brought to him as a gift, brought to him as a spoil of war, brought to him to rape and defile, so that it could be told to Troy that they were losing, because they were able to bring down the best, most beautiful, most wonderful symbol of the health of Troy. And the woman is always used to tell the society if they are losing or winning. And then I put Shelley Ann Fraser Price down there because That's what it should look like, where everybody worships and loves their winning athletes, and just to preserve that at all costs. You know, if Shelley Ann Fraser Price wakes up late, the whole island knows about it. They'll be like, she's going to be fine. She just needed a little more rest, you know. She'll be fine. We'll give her some yam and some rice and peas and curry chicken and goat. She'll be fine. Everybody knows what she's doing, and she is just worship. She is just the princess, you know, like all of you are in this room. So I ask, is the Western man in an existential crisis? Has he succumbed to ideological warfare? Why are we here? Any man that allows a sacred woman of the temple to be desecrated is a conquered man. A man should die on his sword before stepping aside and saying, come on in. Come on in to our women and children. Come on in. Are all of these men that are selling women athletes out okay with leaving this legacy for their own daughters and granddaughters? For their granddaughters to lower their eyes in submission and submit to men coming into their spaces? Why would they do this, and how do they think it's okay, and are they even thinking in the long term? Why would you do this? Mm-hmm. In matters of warfare, people do switch sides to survive. Quote, I want to be on the winning team, you know. Okay. The Western man's blind spot is ideological subversion or ideological invasion. The Western man is known for intelligence, the establishment of Western civilization, engineering, technology, building infrastructure, science, medicine, law and order, and military strength. And the assumption is that he cannot be conquered militaristically. It's true, we have the strongest military. But there's a blind spot ignoring what can happen to the mind. How ideology can take over and be just as strong and powerful as a physical army. And the impact is that ideology is tearing our culture down. The Western man today is openly mocking, is being openly mocked as cracks appear that welcome our colonization and welcome female colonization. He is being told, we are doing this to your woman and children right in front of your face. What are you going to do? And the call to action is, we are in a quiet coup d'etat, and it's time to act. We need men and women to join together. This isn't just a woman's issue, even though obviously it's salient and important, because women are the ones that are feeling the pain. But this is a cultural issue affecting all of us. Women are to be protected, secured, held sacred, not dismantled, not commodified, not broken up into little pieces with little dollar signs on our parts. Do not be the conquered man, do not be the conquered woman. Thank you.
Wow, okay.